Let me start this by saying that I haven't voted for either major party's presidential candidate since 2012, and I'm not a fan of Trump or Biden. The Democrats and the media's cover up of Joe Biden's true condition is as egregious as the MAGA crowd's Stop the Steal movement in 2020, and it was just as damaging to democracy. Downplaying a serious medical condition when it impacts the stamina and mental competence of a sitting president who's the commander in chief of our military, that's just as recklessly negligent. And, people gave Trump a hard time for telling his supporters to fight like hell to persuade senators to withhold their vote to certify electoral college votes. Well, if you're serious about protecting democracy at all cost, then you wouldn't conceal the health of the person who is ultimately in charge of safeguarding democracy, and you wouldn't mislead the voters. I'm not saying that this is a reason to rally support for Trump right now. I'm saying so that you keep this in mind the next time you reject the possibility of voting for a third party or even just withholding your vote for a candidate who you're not really comfortable with. Because just by going along with what the big parties tell you to do for all this time, we've basically enabled them to get to this point where they felt like they could mislead the voting public for decades and decades. And if this last election wasn't proof enough that the mainstream legacy media's ability to peddle influence is dead, well, this week was the ultimate exposure. The mainstream media can no longer be trusted, and it isn't trusted, and that's why it's dissolved, and that's why, ultimately, surprisingly, I gotta admit, Trump's strategy to go to the smaller pockets of concentrated media to certain interest in his campaign, in hindsight, looks like a very smart move. And I think we're going to see even more and more deterioration of trust and erosion of trust of the major institutions from the parties to media, even more so, especially heading into this next midterm.